Hello, this is trumpet player Chris Brown. I appreciate your time. I thank you for checking out my YouTube channel, and I look forward to maybe answering some questions about the trumpet and music that you may have, or questions that I've been presented and I've maybe developed an understanding of, or I've been instructed by some of my wonderful teachers in the past, and I want to share that knowledge with you. If you ever have any questions that you would like answered in a video, you could contact me through my website, chrisbrowntrumpet.com. That's B-R-A-U-N, Chris, C-H-R-A-S, B-R-A-U-N, trumpet.com. I have some contact information on there. You can get in touch with me, and I can answer those questions. Maybe you would like me to present a class to your school or help you out with something related to the trumpet or music. You could reach me through that. I appreciate your time. I look forward to touching base with you and really growing together in music. Now, today's topic is something that's near and dear to my heart. I thought it would be a great time to present this topic because this month we're celebrating Black History. It's Black History Month, February, and one of the most important musical topics that we can talk about during this Black History Month is the style or the music jazz. Jazz is a uniquely American art form that we're indebted to because it was started by the persecuted African American people. See, because of the circumstances they were put into, it helped lead to jazz's development and subsequent growth and influence on music around the United States and into the world. All of the music today has been heavily influenced by jazz. And in fact, I want to talk about one particular element of jazz that is very, very fundamental for us as musicians to understand, and that is swing. Swing, I think, is often misunderstood today. We have so many styles of music today, and a lot of times we get samplings of that music and we forget or we don't really understand where that music came from and how it was formed. And today we're going to talk about swing. Before that, though, I want to talk to you briefly about jazz, about how it came about and its core components so we could understand more and delve into swing. Now, jazz kind of started as a combination, like many other music, of different styles and genres that kind of meld together in the late 19th century, early 20th century. Now, African Americans throughout our history have unfortunately not had the opportunities that white Americans and other Americans have had. And at this time, it was no different than before in the 1700s and mid-1800s. See, the African American community, because of their persecution and really lack of opportunities to study music like Western European musicians had the opportunity, they couldn't often read music or didn't often know how to dictate music. So music to them was very important in life because it was a part of life. It helped get them through the times they were going through. And so the music that was very, very important during this time were spirituals, work songs, folk music, if you will. And this was the folk music of the African American community. Well, this music, coupled with what would later become known as blues, and then we would get music like ragtime, kind of formed together, took a little bit of European harmony, and started to mold into this wonderful music we call jazz. See, jazz has three unique elements that help make it a wonderful art form and really set it apart from other music. The first one is it's very focused and centered on improvisation. Unlike European music, this music, jazz, focused more on the artist and their interpretation and their voice than on the composer. So improvisation was very, very important. And that was important in the music prior to that, whether it were spirituals, work songs, improvisation. The other element that was very, very important in jazz is swing. And we're going to talk about swing in the feel, the groove. The groove is very, very important in jazz. It's fundamental to understand groove because that is a part of the African American community that is somewhat rooted in the African continent. Because if you look at the African continent, you will see there's a lot of music there that is so centered on the groove and the beat versus what we're used to maybe in traditional European music. So that is swing. And the other element that is so vital to jazz and to set it apart is the oral tradition, that it's passed down orally from other people. See, because they couldn't, many of these early jazz musicians couldn't write down what they learned and they were developing, they had to orally pass it down. So jazz was passed down orally. So we have the improvisation, we have this groove, swing element, and then we have this passed down orally. That is what makes jazz unique in and of itself from many music forms before and some after. Now, you take those three things and combine it with the advent of the record, the phonograph, and you see that jazz has been able to transform the world because many early recordings of the great jazz musicians, Louis Armstrong, King Oliver, Duke Ellington's early music, so many of these early musicians, these jazz musicians, had an opportunity to be recorded. And we have those records today to be able to go back and listen to. So today, we're going to really talk about that element, swing. But I would encourage you first, before you get too developed or into these exercises and things I'm going to get you, I encourage you so much that you need to really listen to the music. Because like I said, it was orally passed down, and that's how we need to learn it. So, swing, what is swing? Well, swing, if you think of the word, infers like a motion to it. And if you think of a lot of music, especially early African American music, swing was very vital. You think about work songs, I've been working on the railroad, songs like that. They were so centered on beat and on motion. And unfortunately, that song there wasn't really centered on it because of happy things. It was just trying to get the day passed by. You know, so much of early African American music was focused on rhythm, was focused on going through the daily grind. Well, jazz really took that and made this wonderful thing called swing. And this swing pattern is much different than what we're used to in traditional music. For example, traditional music is going to have a strict beat to it. Tap, 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 just like a clock. So if you think a clock, ta, 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 and you think the syllables that we typically use when we're studying our music, whether you're studying as a trumpet player, any other instrument, even a singer, you use syllables like ta, ta, la, la. Strict pattern. That is what we're traditionally taught in Western music. So it'd be something like this. If I'm thinking of an F concert, G on a trumpet, strict time. Now, swing does something much different than that. Swing, at its foundation, really doesn't use the hard syllables or strict syllables that we're used to. Instead of maybe a ta, you could think of da, da, da. So right away, it is a lot softer syllable. And then now let's change it up a little bit more. And we're going to add another syllable to it. Let's add a da, ba, da, ba. Do those same 4 F's or G on the trumpet. So I'm hearing it in my head. I'm singing da ba da ba. Now let's kind of increase the speed. Instead of maybe doing quarter notes, let's go da ba da ba da ba da ba. And right away, if you hear what I'm doing in recordings, you will see that the musician's not doing a strict quarter or eighth note feel. This would be a traditional strict way of playing. But they're doing something more like. So, strict, ta 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 ta. Now, swung, da ba da ba da ba da ba. Now, if you're notating it, you would notate the first as straight eighth notes. But the second one doesn't really have a notation that we can put down. That goes back to being orally passed down. The oral tradition doesn't lend itself to notation. So it's very hard to notate this. Many people think it's going to be a triplet feel, like two triplets followed by a single, like an eighth followed by a triple. So eighth, a quarter note followed by eighth note on a triplet. Ta 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 ta. Or a dotted eighth 16 pattern. But I just want you to forget about that and just think about what you're hearing. Listen to the great players, sing it using these syllables we're talking about, and then play it. So now we're going to swing this. So try that on the F again. I encourage you to repeat this over. Repeat it on different notes. If you're just starting out on your instrument, repeat it wherever it's comfortable for you. Repeat it on a single note. Now let's expand it. Let's take it up this F major scale, G major on trumpet. So you repeat it until you feel comfortable. And how are you going to feel comfortable? What is it going to make you feel comfortable? You're going to start feeling the music. The swing is something you feel. When I play, I'm always moving when I play swing, and really if I'm playing anything, but especially swing music. So that swing is going to be kind of that sway. You're going to feel emotion when you're playing, and it's going to be something that is going to start to be felt, not necessarily something that you can force out. So you play a scale. So you start off, before the scale, you start off maybe repetition notes, repeating them, listen to a musician, sing it, da ba, or do ba, and then play it. And then play scales. Then you can play maybe a tune. A very simple song that would be very easy to play would be this one here, Hot Cross Buns. Probably most of you know that. If you don't, I'm sure you've heard it, and maybe you just didn't know that's what it was. But Hot Cross Buns starts on the third of any scale, and it goes 3, 2, 1, and it bases on those three notes. So I'm going to start on the concert D. I'm going to go D, C, B flat, or E, D, C on trumpet, like this. Now this part has the eighth notes. Instead of playing them straight, we're going to go. So take any song that you're familiar with. Maybe you're working on a song, and first build that pattern, repetition on just the da, ba, do, ba syllables. Then do a scale, do some kind of movement up and down your horn, and then play simple songs. You can take your Arbenz book if you're a trumpet player and just play some of the simple melodies in the back and swing them. Play any tune. Try any tune. This is what I encourage you to do to learn swing. You don't have to have a real book to learn how to swing. But most importantly, I want to reiterate, listen to the great players. Try to emulate them, because that is how you're going to understand swing more effectively than just studying it, reading books. Once again, jazz is an oral tradition. It has 3 elements. It's based upon improvisation, creativity, has a swing element to it, and it's orally passed down. So you must combine all those when you're learning jazz. Jazz is such an awesome art form. I was inspired by Duke Ellington, in particular Ray Nance on Take the A Train as a young boy, and that has really catapulted me throughout my career to love jazz and to play it to this day. And jazz, this swing feel transcends music. It influences all music, whether it's popular music, rock. People like Elvis were heavily influenced by it. In fact, a lot of what they do is swing. If you understand the elements and roots of swing and understand where it came from and the people that developed it, you will really be able to move in a great direction to understand how to properly swing and how to transform that swing into these other newer art forms, whether it's rock, pop, maybe reggae, all these other styles that really lend so much of their development to jazz. So I'm going to leave you with the song here. And like I said, you can take any song and just swing. So let's try this song here. This is a familiar hymn. This is called Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee. You know this as Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. But let's do a little bit of kind of a swung version of it. Thank you for tuning in today. Please come back, share this with your friends, and contact me if you ever have any questions. Have a great day.